morning. Hey. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all that good stuff. Yeah, this is Jay Jones. I am live and in full color. It is what it is, and we are back to where we started. It is what it is, y'all. So, what I asked y'all to do, yes, I'm live. This is me live full color. What I'm asking y'all to do is, if y'all can do me a favor, go ahead and tag your friends, your associates, and everybody and say, "Oh, Jay is live. Jay is live. Jay is live." Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. And yes, we have a very interesting conversation we're going to have today. I didn't get a chance to put it out there in the flyer world to let everybody know that I was coming back. But you know what? What I need y'all to do is share with your friends, share with your neighbors, share with everybody, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your auntie, your best friend. I know that I haven't been on here for a while, maybe about 30 days, but I want y'all to share, because I got a great conversation that I'm going to talk about today. And so, first thing we're going to talk about the welcome back, and welcome back, and welcome back. And all I can say is welcome back, welcome back. We're going to talk about the miscues that goes on with the Savannah Morning News and how they always get the news wrong when it comes to the wrong people. The next thing we're going to talk about is Savannah political circles, or I say political circus, and whichever one you want to call it is going to be. That's what we're going to discuss today. And then the last thing is people power over dead president power. So there's two kind of people that follow in politics, and those are the people that are living. Those are people who are dead. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by dead people, I'm talking about dead presidents, and that's the economic cycle when they're actually trying to control the election from the outside looking in, and they try to maneuver and try to control us African Americans and have us play against each other. And then guess what? When it comes time for us to get to the finish line, we have nobody who has the rhyme or reason to speak your kind of language, your kind of conversation, your kind of dialogue, your kind of perspective. And so it's time out for that. And what I mean by that is we're going to call these things out for what it is to be what it is. Because you know what? This is what it is. And I'm asking y'all, please do me a favor. Go ahead out there and tell your cousin, your auntie, your nephew, your friend, the friend you don't speak to, the friend you ain't talked to in a long time. It is so important for us to have this conversation that we're going to have today. And we're going to have this conversation in just quite a second. But I need y'all to make sure we get this thing shared out there. I understand my good people are probably at what's going on at the Armstrong Center, and so I understand those people there. But that does not negate away from you being involved in this conversation. It is what it is. It's back, and we are back in full color. And I got a colorful conversation to have with you today. I see y'all sharing, y'all. I see y'all promoting it, y'all. I see y'all putting out the business there, y'all. Keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing. Go ahead as you share. Please go out there and make sure you comment and comment and comment and make sure your voice is heard, your conversation is heard. It is so important for us to build this audience tonight because what we're going to talk about some serious issues. So I'm asking y'all, I'm begging y'all, do what you got to do to share. Make sure this conversation is across the table, across the board. Because when we start talking, we start breaking this thing down. It is up to you to take the message from what you hear from me and push it and change it and share it with the rest of the world. I kind of fell back because the simple fact is I just wasn't getting enough conversation out there. But I got enough conversation for these couple of weeks where I'm going to make sure that we push our narrative forward. So without further ado, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are back in the saddle. We are back to business. We are back to giving the conversation. It is what it is, and we're not afraid to tell about what's going on in our environment. So the first topic of discussion is the miscues that goes on in the news across this nation, y'all, across this world. There's always all kind of miscues that go on to get narratives shown out there, to get newspapers to sell, and all other stuff like that. I'm going to talk about the Savannah Morning News. So your boy, which prompted me to come back onto this platform. Your boy, yeah, Jimmy J was miscued in the newspaper by accident. What happened with that miscue was it was copied, snipped, and turned into a picture, and then it was shared amongst those people in the Savannah metropolitan area as far as Georgia is concerned. So basically, what I mean by that is they take your picture from an article from a past picture, they box it out, and then they put it with the negative article. So now, if you haven't been to my Facebook page, get a chance, go to my Facebook page. I shared the actual article and everything under the sun about what happened within the confines of that conversation. And so when it comes down to it, The article was shared, and it was dealing with an incident that happened in 2013. It was a criminal accident that happened in 2013 in Thunderbolt, where it was two people killed, murdered by Michael Jones. And so, what the news media did was they increased the font size so it can be cut and it can be properly put out there as Jones had did the actual incident and issue. Just put it right there, dog. Jones did the properly issue an incident, and so because it cut it like that, what it made it look like was Jay Jones that did something that he did not do, and so it's so problematic. It's so unfair. What's up, dog? That's my dog, Chris Johnson, in the house, y'all. So the problem with it is it was cut up and was slag. I'll call you back. It was cut up and it was put into a notion where guess what? It's unfair. And so what was happening was it was shared and shared and shared, but it wasn't shared in article form. It was shared in picture form. So it made it look like I was tied to a sling. Now everybody knows I couldn't have did the sling because during the time period I would have been supposedly in jail. I was serving as a county commissioner. So we all understand that the newspaper didn't put it out there to make it look like I was a slang. But to those people who do not understand, for those people who are not tied to politics, those people who do not follow what goes on in our community, it can be misperceived as me being that person, especially when my picture was floated on 3 or 4 times with relatable articles out there and relatable documentation that was shared and spread abroad. So there's also a flyer in Savannah, Georgia. This is what they call the consent ballot. This is the ballot if we're asking everybody to follow, and it's a printed piece of paper. And that same picture from 2016 is the same picture being used on that flyer. So I put math together. 2 + 2 = 4 all day, every day. So if they're using the same flyer from the Savannah Morning News on this same flyer that was being distributed out there, then it's got to be some kind of coincidence out there that's tied to these two different issues, these two different coincidences. It has to be something tied to these two pieces of energy, two pieces of misrepresented conversations about your boy Jay Jones out there. And so I was mad because you know what? I had every right to be mad because I'm receiving text message of this picture saying Jones is involved in some slaying of somebody in Thunderbolt. I should be pissed. I should be mad. Now, Savannah Morning News, I didn't say y'all spread it, but what I can say is somebody used your documentation and changed it and used it for the greater good of being negligent as far as I'm concerned, as far as my character is concerned. But good thing I have over 300-400 people who know that that's not me, and they express their conversation. It's not me. And every single time that something comes right, something comes against me, I'm going to share it on this media platform, which is Facebook, because social media on Facebook is free until you have to pay for the subscription. And so that is what I wanted to talk about first, as far as what's going on with your boy. Yeah, they misrepresented your boy, and my thing is, they've never retracted the conversation on it. They never said I'm sorry. They never apologized. They never did any of that kind of stuff. Even though it could have been unintentional, even though it may have not been intentional, you still got to take care of your business. You still got to apologize. So, like my boy does on the radio, I give the Savannah Morning a big donkey. Y'all watch that show? I give them a big donkey because you know what? They are the ones who could have fixed this narrative. They could have been upfront and they could have took care of your boy and they could have talked to your boy. Rebecca Rose, I appreciate you for writing that letter on behalf of me. Most people wouldn't stand up, but you said you gonna make sure you write a letter on behalf of me, and I appreciate it, my sister. My sister. I truly do appreciate it. Shouts out to you, Rebecca. All right, so my next point that I want to talk about, my next point of conversation I want to talk about the Savannah political circus. I mean, is it a circus or is it about the circles? See, in Savannah, Georgia, Savannah, if you did not know Chatham County, I'm going to go ahead and expand the conversation. Chatham County is predominantly a Democratic based county. Now, when you look at the confines of what that predominance actually equates to, 30-40% of that is African American. So when you talk about the Democratic Party, the main vein of the voting base of the Democratic Party in Chatham County is African Americans. I can say that with all affirmation. And so when you talk about the Savannah Circle, or when I can say the circus, people are being bought left and right, y'all. People are giving their souls away to the devil for a bag of Cheetos and a pack of bubble gum, and they already done took 2 sticks out of the 5-stick pack, y'all. We are being sold for peanuts, y'all. And I'm not talking about the good boiled peanuts. I'm talking about the circus peanuts that come from the Georgia factory up in Atlanta, Georgia, y'all. We are being sold like we back on the slavery blocks. And you know what? We don't even have to worry about the weeping times, because you know what? Weeping time has expanded from over there, Augusta Avenue, to be covering the whole state of Chatham County. We are selling ourselves to the selling ourselves and selling ourselves and selling ourselves for the very little bit we can actually get for what we do. Y'all, if we don't change our direction right now, if we don't open our eyes right now, if we're not willing to fight for what's right now, this political circus is going to cost us more land. It's going to cost us gentrification. It's going to cost us everything under the sun. If we're not willing to stand in the gate, stand up for the freedom of us people, if we're not willing to be a cause, and guess what? It ain't just black people being left out in this conversation. It's Caucasians, it's Mexicans, it's blacks, it's everybody being left out of this conversation. It's not just straight people, it's gay people, LGBTQ community people. Everybody's being left out of this conversation, y'all. It's not just men, it's women being left out. It's not just old, it's being young being left out in this conversation as well, y'all. And you know what? It is a political circus going on in Chatham County right now. Now, for those who don't understand what I mean by the political circus, for those who don't understand that people are being bought like it ain't no tomorrow, they are selling us used tires. I'm talking about tires that got 100 miles of tread on them. They selling to us like they brand new tires. I'm talking about these tires are worn out, y'all. This is the way we being treated right here in our community. This is the way we being treated in this society of 2022 politics, y'all. But if you're not willing to open your eyes up to understand how to play the terms as far as politics is concerned, shame on you. Let me tell you something. If somebody has to sell you a newspaper ad, somebody got to sell you a mailer in the mail, then guess what? Somebody paid for that for them, y'all. What I ask y'all to do is all these mailers that keep coming to your mailbox. And I know y'all getting them. I'm getting them like crazy, y'all. I got about 5, 6 from some candidates. And my thing is, when I do the research on these candidates, they ain't working for me. They ain't talking for me, and they ain't walking for me. But y'all buy into that sellout as far as the mailouts are concerned, because only sellouts are able to afford mailouts. I'm gonna put it together for y'all. Only sellouts can afford mailouts, y'all. Anybody who really is for you can't even afford the mail out, because you know what? Mail outs cost so much that they have to sell out to be able to get the mail out. Now that's going to change in the future, because you know what? I understand the mail out game too. So I guarantee I'm going to go ahead and start playing the game just like everybody else who's selling this out, because you know what? I understand the game of psyche. It's all about psyche. It's all about getting those mail outs or getting that energy in front of you 3 or 4 times. So when you go in there and check out your ballot and you want to go out there and vote for somebody, you're going to vote based on your conscience. Now, if you receive that mail out 4 or 5 times without even doing any research, you're going to remember that name. But I'm asking y'all, all those names who've been selling all these mail outs, rather than vote for the mail outs, and want you vote against the mail outs. Now, I gave you the best information ever possible. Now, I am going to the biggest shout out. I'm going to give the biggest shout out right now. I'm going to give a big shout out, and I don't normally give them shout outs, but I'm going to give a big shout out to Savannah Tribune. Savannah Tribune did a full page ad. Now, if y'all don't know this yet, I don't read the Savannah Morning News. I don't even eat my crabs on the Savannah Morning News. I don't even use Savannah Morning News to clean up what's going on when my dog messes up in the house, because you know what? It's full of crap. But here you go, y'all. A full page ad was produced by the Savannah Tribune. Now, you know what? Shouts out to y'all, Savannah Tribune, for doing us a good favor. Now, the cost to be able to advertise Savannah Tribune, I'm still questioning about that, y'all. I'm still questioning about that. You know what? I'm still questioning about that. But you know what? I'm gonna go through the ballot and I'm gonna go through it real quick. So y'all, guess what? I am here as Jimmy J. I'm not here as any other person but Jimmy J at this moment. I can do just like everybody else. I am in my alternate ego form, Jimmy J. I am also serving as a former sitting elected official in the sixth congressional, I mean, in the sixth commissioner district. And so, guess what, y'all? As Jimmy J and a former county commissioner in those two positions only at this time, because I can play that game too, y'all. I can play that game too. And I'm only going to read off the Democratic ballot, y'all. So when you look at it, the first thing on your ballot is going to be the U.S. Senator. You only have two Democrats running for the U.S. Senator, Tamara Johnson Shaley and Ralph Warnock. Ralph Warnock is the incumbent. In the governor's race, you have Stacey Abrams running solely by herself unopposed. Now, on the Republican side, you got five people bidding for that seat. Now, what could happen is it could be a runoff in the Republican side, but we're going to stay tuned. After May 24th, we'll have that conversation of how that looks. Now, going into the lieutenant governor's race, Eric Allen is going against Charlie Bailey, Tyrone Brooks, Tony Brown, Kwanzaa Hall, Jason Hayes, Derek Jackson, R. Malik, and Renita Shannon. All those people are running. So it's 9 people on the Democratic ballot for lieutenant governor. So I'm almost certain that we will see another ballot in June. That is a runoff. We will see a runoff, more than likely in lieutenant governor. If that person wins that lieutenant governor without a runoff, that's a bad joker. We need to make sure to run them as president. Now, running for Secretary of State, you got D. Dawkins Hagler, John Eves, Floyd Griffin, B. Wynn, and Michael Owens. You have 5 people. So more than likely, there will be a runoff for Secretary of State as well. Now, for Attorney General. For Attorney General, you have Jennifer Jen Jordan, and you have Christopher Y. Smith. Christopher Y. Smith was down the street about a week ago over there talking to Cloverdale. I'm sorry, the people over there in what's the name of the Caton Homes. I saw Caton Homes the other day, y'all. All right, commissioner, add commissioner. You got Winfred Dukes, Nikita Hemingway, and Fred Swan. All right, commissioner of insurance. You have Raphael Baker, Janice Laws Robinson, and Matthew Wilson. Labor commissioner, you have William Bodie, you have Thomas Dean, you have Nicole Horn, you have our very own Lester G. Jackson, State Senator Lester G. Jackson, right here out of Savannah, Georgia, Nadia Ciresi, and that rounds up the labor commission seats. State school superintendent, you have Carrie Hitchens, Jaha Howard, James Monroe, Alicia Thomas Searcy. All right. Alicia got signs all over Savannah, y'all. All right. Public Service Commission. You have Patty Duran, and the young man Russell Edwards is on the ballot, but he has taken his name out of the race, y'all. So we need to make sure Patty Duran gets our vote, and that'll be the only one I have that kind of conversation with. Now, District 3, we have Sheila Edwards, Chandra Farley, Missy Moore. Missy Moore will be in town this week. Chandra Farley was in town a couple of weeks ago, and Sheila Edwards gave me a call and said she wanted to sit down and talk with me, y'all. So that's what's going on there. All right, now we move to the United States Representative District 1. You got Joyce drive the bus all over the Savannah area, Marie Griggs. You got Wade Herron, and you got Michelle Monroe. Now, back to the top of the ticket. And I know this gets boring. I know it gets boring, but I'm going to say it anyway. And I'm going to skip the first one because I'm not going to advertise the first one. But in the second one, you have Derek Mallow, and you have my good friend Orlando Scott in that second race. All right, in District 4, nobody stepped up to run in District 4. Nobody stepped up to run in District 4. So therefore, the Republican, Billy Hickman, will walk in the seat unopposed. with no kind of issues, no kind of problems. All right. The next thing we got, state representative, you got Margot Barbie. Margot Barbie is running unopposed, and we need to support her out there. Out there, my people out there in the Port Wentworth area, and those people in Effingham, y'all need to go ahead and support Miss Margot Barbie. And then the next one you got is State Representative District 162. All right, now, Carl Gilliard and Frederick, police officer man Pralo. Pralo, I saw his name in the Hall of Fame. He got in the Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago for Beach High School. All right. Now, State Representative District 163. You got Wesley or Westland on the radio all the time, Mahogany Bowers. And you got Ann Allen Westbrook. And then in State Districts 164, you got Marcus Thompson, and he is waiting to see who's going to win in the primary for the Republican side. So guess what? Ron Stevens got a Republican challenger, y'all, in God good. All right. And I'm going to end it there because everybody else is running unopposed. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, in the Board of Elections, in the Chatham Board of Elections, and I got to come back to this conversation later on, but I ain't going to come to it right now. But I got to come back to this conversation right now later on, because in this race right here, I was told that by somebody that I got the incumbent Corey Foreman I'm sorry, not the incumbent, the challenger Corey Foreman to run against the incumbent who is named on this paper. I'm not going to call a name because you know what? I got word that I was the one who put Corey Foreman in this race. Now, last time I checked, my money don't flow that hard where I can encourage a grown man to get into a race. So I want to clear that piece up right now. I don't ask anybody to get no race. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, should I run for something? I'm not going to do like we did in the back in the day and say, no, you don't need to run. I'm not going to do that. If anybody who wants to run for public office, I'm going to encourage them how to run for public office. Because even if they ran against me for public office, I'm not going to discourage anybody, because when we do this encouragement, it helps our democracy grow. So I'm going to leave that point at that point. Now, the next person is the other Board of Election seat, and there is the incumbent, Audrey Murray, running against Trish Brown. Now, the incumbent, Audrey Murray, is the former chair of the party. She is also my friend, but it does not mean that I do not like the person that's running against her. I want that clear on this Facebook Live. That's the only part of the reason why I did that, because these two seats were brought to my attention that I unfairly, as in my other position, unfairly created an imbalance of what's going on. I had great conversation with everybody. I made sure I told everybody up front my opinion and who I chose not to support publicly and what I chose to do in public and private conversation. All right. So with that being said, now we're going to move to these nonpartisan election seats. Now, you have Veronica Brinson, Attorney Brinson, versus the incumbent Verda Calvin. Now, Verda Calvin was appointed by the current, she was appointed by the current Republican. She was appointed by the current Republican sitting governor. So she was an appointee of Kemp. Veronica Brinson is a longtime Democrat. And even though she can't run as one because these are nonpartisan seats, we need to make sure we throw our support behind Veronica Brinson, y'all. All right, the rest of these seats I'm not going to call out because guess what? They ran unopposed anyway. Tammy Stokes. Y'all know we're going to back my sister Tammy Stokes up for Judicial Superior Court, Eastern Judicial Circuit. And yeah, Tammy, you ain't got to acknowledge the fact that I said that, but sis, you know I got your back, and I'll take down anybody, sign or conversation, who got anything to say anything bad about Tammy. She's always served the people, and she's always served the people right, and she makes sure she has a balanced platform out there. And I appreciate everything she does in being balanced, fair and true to us people out there. When she was in recorded court, as she still is in the recorded court until the end of the year, she's always taking care of business and she's always taking care of the people and she's always been fair anytime I had to grace my presence in that courtroom. And Tammy, that was free advertisement for you, my sister. Love you to death. Back to my nonpartisan conversation. Now, Chief Recorder's Court Judge. Now, you know what? These nonpartisan conversations, I'm going to have a partisan conversation with you. Now, Brother Anthony, Mr. Burt Anthony Burton, I gave you a call a couple of weeks ago. I tried to let you know that something was going on with one of your signs. And guess what you did? You was short with me. You didn't want to deal with me. And you didn't give me the time of day to even have a real conversation. You didn't even know who the heck I was. But you know what? That was your chance. I give everybody a chance. And you failed me, my brother. I cannot do anything to help or support you in that conversation. And then you're going against a DA that is a Democratic DA. And I don't agree with everything the DA does. But my thing is, where were you when the previous DA was putting black men in jail and putting black men away? Where were you at? Where were you at in the democracy of freedom? So my thing is, you didn't do all that when Meg Heap was in office. Please don't do all that when Shalana Cook Jones is in office. Do me a favor. Call her, have a grown folk conversation before you go out there and pay for advertising to slander her name. Now, you can go ahead and talk to Atlanta Morning News and slander my name too, because they already do that anyway. So it's no beef to me. And my thing is, I'm only regurgitating what you did in a public setting. And it's not fair. It's not right. And Shalena's trying to do her best. And she's dealing with some issues on the other side when it comes to the county and the city and all those other repertoires. So please do me a favor and do not try to come to me and express any kind of opinion, forthright or unjust. And that leaves Joe Hoffman and Richard Sanders. Now, Richard is a curious kind of guy. Richard, you know what? I'm not gonna say it today, but I'm gonna say it eventually. I heard a disturbing conversation about you, and you have until next week, Friday, to have a conversation with me so we can get this out of the way. Because if I don't have a conversation with you, Richard, and I know somebody's watching who's supporting Richard, so y'all make sure y'all get that message to Richard. If I don't get that conversation, then next week, Friday, I'm going to spill the beans about what I'm talking about. So I'm giving you to next week, Friday, to give me that conversation, because I promise you, next week, Friday is going to be way more juicier than this conversation we having right here today. Right now, Joe Hoff, I see your signs. I see they drew devil signs and everything under the sun on your signs. Traditionally, when they do that, that means you are all right with me. You went to Savannah High School. I think you came a little bit after my sister. I just kind of wishy-washy about, who you support and how you play that support game. But, I let that slide. And you had that candid conversation with me. And like I said, if I pick the phone, you answer the phone. And you always do that. So, Joe Hoff, you got my appreciation right now. But I ain't going to say nothing solid until I have this conversation with Mr. Sanders, because I got to give him his opportunity as well. And Claire's going to walk in her seat, no problem. Now, Board of Education. Now, I'm going to skip the presidency because I want to go through the rest of the ballot, because my last point of conversation before we end the day is going to be highlighting some conversation I got on this Board of Election seat. Because I got to throw some stuff out there, y'all. And I got to make sure I got the strongest audience I possibly can have at the end of this discussion, because this Board of Election conversation, especially that presidency, has been boiling up water in my soul. So before I go there, let me go to the Board of Elections, Board of Education seat, District 5. Now, my sister Trey, I love you to death. I believe you have good heart, good intentions. I just need to see more out you, and I'm just not seeing that. Brother Paul, I'm be real candid about it. There's only one person that saves you every single day, and that's our mutual friend, Dr. Pat Harris. She saves you every day. But my thing, brother, you owe me a real hardcore Canva conversation, because you're gonna be a part of my discussion next week as well. Teresa, I think that you had 4 years to make this thing happen. Sis, I need to see more out you. I need to see more English out you. I know Dr. Harris has a Zoom that's coming out that's going to feature the three of y'all, and it's going to be exclusive for the 5th district. Hey, man, I appreciate it, and I'll make sure I share that in transparency. But we need to make sure that when Irene Hines, the teacher, Irene Hines was the reason why I became a scientist. She was my biology teacher. You ain't got to correct me, Dr. Hines. She was my biology teacher at Windsor Forest in the 10th grade. She is what I said, the reason why I took up science, because she was the one who was profound over at Windsor Forest that pushed and pushed and pushed somebody young like me to become a scientist. So I give all my credit and kudos to her. Her and I can't think of her name right now, but my geometry teacher too, Miss I can't think of her name right. Bill, come to me later on when it does, I'll bring it out. But that is so important for that conversation to be had. The 6th district, my old district, y'all. The 6th district, my old district. I'm not going to talk about the 6th district today. I'm going to hold that conversation to next week because it's very important. The 8th district, Tanya Howard Hall, you got my vote. Vote of confidence. Tanya, reason why you got my vote of confidence, because the fact is you come from the system, you know the system, you know these kids and everything like that. Profound speaker, loves people, loves kids and everything under the sun. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But I promise you, if I have time permits, when I discuss the Board of Education presidency piece, I'm gonna make sure I discuss that 6th district piece as well. And so now I'm gonna get to these questions, y'all. These questions, I'm gonna go ahead and do it real quick, real quick. These questions is 8 questions, y'all. I voted yes to all 8 questions, y'all, because there's some phenomenal stuff in these questions, y'all. But let me explain to you. These questions are what you call Democratic Party questions. All that means is these questions are asking general public, what do you feel about, for example, should the United States remove obstacles to economic advancement by forgiving all student loans? Basically, what it does is it gives the platform for the Democratic Party of Georgia to address the states, the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House, along with those state reps and state senators, to address them, say, this is what the narrative is, what the people want to see. If we vote yes to everything, then this becomes a part of the platform. The Democratic Party of Georgia will push on the federal, on those federal representatives and the federal senators, as well as the state reps and state senate. So those questions are very important. Is if you don't want to answer them, you don't answer them. If one person answers yes for all of them, then they will take care of the whole of everybody else. So when I say that conversation, please take into consideration to make sure you follow up all 8 of those questions, because it's very important. Those 8 questions go from stimulation as far as marijuana is concerned. Should marijuana be legal? Those questions are being asked in that. Student loan forgiveness, access paid to parental leave following the birth of adoption of a child. Should every 3 to 4 year old, this is beautiful right here, but should every 3 to 4 year old in Georgia be given the opportunity to attend a high quality preschool free of charge? I think we should vote yes on that so much. It should be ding, 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 ding. Yes, yes, yes. Should Georgia voters have the right to gather signed petitions to directly place questions on the ballot, whether to change the law or to poll the public? And if you go back to what just happened down in Camden County, that's a prime example of public saying no to government. They shut down your U.S. representative right here in the 1st Congressional District. Buddy Carter was trying to get over, y'all. And guess what? Camden County said, you ain't getting over. Hang on to that land because you ain't getting nothing for it. And I'm proud of what they did in Camden County. And guess what, y'all? We can do that same thing here. Matter of fact, let me tell you something. For those and not read in this conversation, for those who live in Pooler, they are asking you for the opportunity to have bus service coming into Pooler. Now, let me tell you something. It's 2 caveats to that conversation. Yes, your taxes are going to go up. 1.15 millage rate is going to go up. 1.15 millage rate is no more than $50 at maximum to anybody out here in Pooler. Now, let me explain what that $50 does for us. You see that shopping center that we have in Godly Station, y'all, that shopping center we have in Godly Station is having a hard time being able to employ people because the rate of pay is not significant. Now, to bus in a group of people, you would have to have good transportation to come in. Now, nobody wants to be dropped off on the other side of Benton Boulevard and have to walk 3/4 of a mile across the viaduct from the airport side, where both of those territories are considered Savannah, Georgia. They're just not Savannah proper. So they have to walk into all that. Nobody's going to take a job that's going to do that. But if you have bus service that goes to that town center, then yes, you're going to increase traffic out there and you're going to increase more industry, more retail, more restaurants to be able to set up out there. Pooler, we need to make sure we vote yes. Yes, I understand my taxes gonna go up $50 to $100. May go up $50 to $100. I understand that. But with that $50 to $100, we will have better access to people being able to transition in. Now, I know the old mantra is, oh man, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make it where people can come on the bus and they can go get on the bus and steal a TV and ride. Nobody's going to steal a TV and get on these buses. Nobody's going to rob anybody getting on these buses. Y'all, we have to wake up to a modern day society. Pooler is one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Georgia. Hell, Pooler is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States of America. And so if we want to keep our growth going, we got to make sure we have transportation for those people who want to work out here. And it starts with making sure we expand the bus system. I was on that cat board in my former life, and that was one of the biggest things I was pushing: expansion of bus service into communities like Pooler. Because once Pooler checks it off, then we can get back to Garden City doing what's right and making sure they expand transit across all of Garden City and not just the black parts of Garden City, all of Garden City. Then we can talk about getting into areas like Port Wentworth, because I understand Port Wentworth needs to take what was written down by Pooler and make sure in November's election they do the same thing by right and putting that amendment on that on the November ballot, saying we want to expand transit. Hey, all my good people in Port Wentworth, all my friends on Port Wentworth City Council, what I'm asking y'all to do is go out there, go downtown, go down to the Board of Elections, and say, can you show me what the narrative looks like was written on behalf of Pooler when it comes to expanding transit? They have set the model, and I shots out to Pooler for making sure they got that. Now, I know my name is being ran in the mud all day long to blue in the face. I know somebody with the last name Watson is going to probably use this against me, but do you think I care? I don't care one bit, because my thing is I'm looking out for the citizens of Pooler, and the best way to look out for the citizens of Pooler is making sure we expand transportation throughout Chatham County. Because when we have a transit system that's expanded across the whole county, then guess what we can do, y'all? See, this is the magic of it. If we start expanding it one place at a time, then we can ask the county commission to roll the millage from 1.15 to 0.75, because the county can cover the cost because you brought in more people to pay into the millage rate. We have to start playing politics for what it is and for what it's. And my thing is that goes back into the county, making sure in 23 or 24, when all these new revenue sources get brought into that 1.15, do right by the citizens. And when we put the budget together in 23 and when we put the budget together in 24, then we can approach county commission to say, we don't want you to put a 1.15 millage rate out there for Chatham Area Transit. We want to put a 0.75 millage rate for transit. This is how government works, y'all. But the first thing has to happen is we have to ask based on the millage rate the way it is, and not the millage rate for where we want to go. I promise you it works out just like that. I know somebody out there is going to probably say, man, he don't know what he's talking about. But I was on the CAT board for 3 years. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. And we need to expand transit countywide. We need to stop having with transit rides by a full community, because guess what? They're not paying into the millage rate, and so they don't get service. That 1.15 is not going to kill us as people. And be honest with you, Hula already done raised the millage rate on us anyway. And the other piece is if the tax digest keeps growing as far as the population keeps growing, and we make sure our public officials who sit on the county commission say, hey, now we've done our part, now you need to do your part and reduce it down to 0.75. And then when we bring in other people, reduce it down to zero point 0.5. And then guess what? We have countywide transit and we're not paying all that much money for it. But the problem is because we didn't do it right in the first place, this is the backdoor way of doing it. And so that's why this conversation is so important. I didn't mean to elaborate on that, but I had to put kudo points because I live in Pooler and I actually saw it on the ballot. And I was like, yes, Jay Jones has something to do with that right there because Jay Jones was fighting for that when he was on Catboard. But I ain't going to talk about that stuff right now because that's conversation we'll have later on. So, with that being said, I broke down all the 8 items as far as what's going on the Democratic ballot. I did not talk about should marijuana be legalized, taxed, and regulated in the same manner as alcohol for adults 21 years of age and older, with proceeds going toward education, infrastructure, and healthcare. Mind you, I've never, I'm not going to say I have anything to do with that, but I do agree that we need some kind of revenue source. If you look at what's going on in Denver, Colorado was the model when it came down to it. Denver, Colorado went from a ruby red negative budget to a green, and I'm talking about forest green budget just by legalizing marijuana. So the state of Georgia, if we don't start getting on board, we're going to get left on that ship too. All right, the other one is should the state of Georgia expand voter access by increasing early voting opportunities, allowing same day voter registration, removing obstacles to voting by mail, and installing secure ballot drop boxes accessible at all times, y'all. Amen. Can I get an amen? Through election day. What that is talking about, y'all, is let's make sure elections are fair and productive for everybody out there in the sun. We got to get past this conversation of allowing a Republican stronghold government who has dominated us going on 20 to 25 years. When we elect a Democratic governor next year, she's going to need, and yes, I gave it, she's going to need down that whole ballot, she's going to need help across the board, y'all. And if we're not willing to step forward to give her that help, then shame on us, man. Should the state of Georgia expand access to health care for over 500,000 Georgians by utilizing federal funds to expand Medicaid? When we get the right governor in office, when we get the right elected officials down the ballot in office, we can have this candid conversation. Dang everybody else, because let me tell you something, y'all. If y'all didn't know that, there's some Republicans who vote against their own interests. There's a lot of Republicans who actually need this expanded for Medicaid and healthcare and all this other stuff worse than some of us. But you know what? They vote against their interests because they don't understand what it means. But guarantee, if we start having these candid conversations, they might still throw rocks at the governor when she gets in office. But guess what? They're going to be the first ones in line to get all that good healthcare. I can tell you just like this. I remember back in the day, 2 years ago, when we thought about this pandemic. Oh, we're not getting that vaccine. Y'all get vaccines. Y'all do is vaccines. Now, a year later, they the first ones in line to get the dang vaccines. They're the first one in line to make sure they get the coverage. They the first one. Oh, I got my second and third dose. See, they ain't out there talking about they getting their second and third dose. Because you know why? They're doing all that and they're making sure they get what they need. So don't time out for all that comment. And the last question was, should families earning less than $150,000 per year receive an expanded tax credit to help cover the cost of raising children? I give that one a yes too, y'all. And so those are all the different questions that are on the ballot, y'all. The ballot may seem like it's long, but I ask you what you do. This broadcast right here will be on my Facebook page. It'll be on ATR's Facebook page. It'll be on our YouTube, so you can look at it anytime you want. What I'm asking y'all to do is go back and listen to what I talked about today. I broke the whole ballot down, y'all. I broke it down. You know why I broke it down? You know why I broke it down? Because you know what? Savannah political circus is not what it is. It's not a circus, y'all. We allow it to be a circus. It's circles. The political circles need to be fixed where we can make government work on the federal level, on the state level, and on the local level. Y'all, elections for the local municipalities is right around the corner, y'all. People are already running a year in advance, y'all. Some people never stop running. You know why? Because politics is big business and big business control politics. And I ain't have enough time to go into the in-depth conversation, but I have had conversations with a couple people that they're gonna drop some mystery profile pictures to connect people out there. So stay tuned on that one, y'all, because that's not gonna be on me. Because they said, James, we know you know the story. I said, I'm not dropping all that. I ain't even going to have that conversation about certain people because some of those people are my friends, and I still want to be able to talk to some of the people when this thing was all over. So, with that being said, I'm going to my last statement for the night. I got 12 minutes left in this conversation. My last statement for the night: people power. People power versus dead people power. People power versus dead people power. Now, now, I get rather emotional about this conversation right here. And I haven't forgot about the school board because the school board president is going to be tied to this conversation. So I get rather flustered behind this conversation right here. I had to open my screen up, so excuse me for the pause, but I get flustered behind this conversation because there's a lot of money being thrown out there at some local elections that we've never seen thrown before. When I looked at the financial disclosure forms, you have some candidates out there. Oh yeah, I don't raise more money than anybody who's ever raised money before. Let me explain something to you, man. I don't give a dang if you raise all the money in the world. If I can't get none of it, I don't want to have a conversation about it. And so that is the thought process of everybody who is a registered voter. And it's about 180,000 registered voters here in Chatham County. Most of those registered voters, I can tell you right now, probably 60-40 split is Democratic base. Now, the downfall to that conversation of that 60-40 base of 180,000 people, the downfall of that conversation is, guess what? We only vote maybe at 20-30%. And the part of that conversation is part of what I said earlier. When we break down the narrative of people power versus dead president power, if people voted in totality at the 180,000 registered voters in Chatham County, we'll get all the right people we got in office. So look at it from this perspective. There's 100 people at $1. You got one person at $100. I'll make it even more fun. You have 100 people at $1, and that's $100. And you got 10 people at $10. That's $100 too. But if the 10 people with $10 go to the poll, that's only 10 votes. If the 100 go to the polls, that's 100 votes. So it's not about money, y'all. It's about people. But however, their president understands that narrative and says if everybody shows up to the polls, if everybody shows up to the polls woke and understood how their power lies, if everybody stepped up to the gate and said, hey, man, I need to do what I can to make sure my presence is felt. If everybody showed up to the polls, I wouldn't have to have this discussion. But the problem is a lot of people don't show up to the polls because of apathy. A lot of people don't have trust in the party structures, whether it be Democrat or Republican. A lot of people just don't believe that the interests of the politicians, because we went to the polls last year, or we went to the polls in 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and we voted for these people. And the minute we voted for these people, the next thing we know, they selling wolf tickets, or they ain't doing nothing for us, or they selling away infrastructure, or they not doing anything in our community. And they've been in that position for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they did absolutely nothing for our community. And my thing is, and play somebody else who don't understand. I understand that politics don't work overnight. I understand politics sometimes take a year, 2, 3 years to actually develop. But I also understand the hustle when you hold back issues that you could have fixed in year 1, but you hold it to year 4 so you can get the kudo points. I understand that too. I ride through Chatham County every day, and I'm watching in the city of Savannah, especially how all these roads are getting paved all of a sudden, sidewalks are getting taken care of all of a sudden, everything is looking good all of a sudden. And then what's going to happen next year in Savannah's elections is we're going to talk about how, well, during my administration we got the roads paved, and ACL Boulevard didn't have a road paved for 25 years, but we got ACL Boulevard road paved because we know that that deal that went down with the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club that's going to be built over there. We got to make sure the roads is paved and looks good for that. We didn't care about it beforehand, where it was a dumping ground and all the. See, that's that conversation. See, when you don't have that discovery conversation, the intent conversation beforehand, or when we talk about Yamacraw Village, when you look at Yamacraw Village was getting passing numbers all the way to about 2 or 3 years ago. Now all of a sudden you have all that money going down there in that corridor, and Yamacraw Village is prime real estate. Now all of a sudden it's so important for us to make sure we get Yamacraw off the book. So now you went from having passing numbers all the way to about 2 years ago to now you starting having failing numbers, to a point where in April they were getting ready to put the 1 year pause, and it takes about 1 year before they can demolish any kind of infrastructure within federal government structures. So now in April, you put the clause out that you had it back in March, and in February, you had meetings with residents there to give them the opportunity. And then you had your violinist come in there and sell a wet dream to all them people in that room. And I'm not gonna call her name out. If y'all don't know who was there, then y'all, that's on y'all. Y'all should have been there. You're gonna have your violinist going in telling people it's good time. Don't y'all want to have a good place to live and everything like that? Don't y'all want the opportunity to experience goodness and everything like that? You right. And I think everybody should be able to experience that, but do that in a way where you're giving wraparound services. Do that in a way where you actually taking care of the environment. Because in some of those houses over there in Yamacraw Village, some of those houses were deplorable. And it ain't started being deplorable 2 years ago. Some of those places were deplorable going back almost 10 years in some of those instances. I know for a fact the one by First African Bryant Church, or First Baptist Bryant Church, or First Bryant Baptist Church, the one right next door, that's been going on at least 7, 8 years. And my thing is, for having infrastructure like that right there in front of a state, in front of a city park, that's deplorable in itself. But then we selling wet dreams to these people. We saying, don't you want better? And I think everybody deserves better. But you could have did better for them right there in that environment if we took care of business day one. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't give me the shot as far as no money is concerned in this and the third. I'm gonna tell you another situation. Caton Homes, y'all. Caton Homes. When I was growing up, the recreation facility behind Caton Homes used to be the place, used to be the spot we used to play basketball when I was real young. Now, from what I'm told, it's a storage facility. Why close down? We got all this crime, 30 years of poverty, all this time, and you got an opportunity to. Why isn't the city of Savannah? I just don't understand this. The city of Savannah, the housing department, somebody get together and say, hey, you know what? Caton Homes could be this basketball gym behind Caton Homes. This really could be something special that people could use. Why not get in there, fix the problems, and make it better? It's not like the situation at Main Street YMCA, which is under private public conversation. It's something that's owned by a federal entity. The federal entity can sell that entity for $1 to the city, and the city can put hundreds of thousands, $1 million into building that recreation facility. And there you got an opportunity to keep the kids from Caton Homes from shooting and committing crimes, because they got a facility to be able to be a recreation. But we don't want to do that. Why? Well, go to the libraries. I'm picking on the county. Go to the libraries. All the libraries are open. All the libraries close at a certain time. But then we complain about crime between the hours of 6 and 9 o'clock. But where do kids have to go? Where do kids have to go between 6 and 9 o'clock? Heck, where do they have to go during school hours? Right? Immediately following school hours. At one point in time, growing up in this community, in Chatham County, in the early 90s, we had recreation. Now, I didn't participate in much of it, but we had recreation after school. And that recreation after school kept a lot of kids out of trouble, kept a lot of crime out of trouble too. But you know what? This system, this system is designed to make sure they create a low wage workforce, which segues me into, because I didn't think y'all thought I forgot about it, which segues me into the Board of Education school board race. Now look here, you got three people running for school board. Now I don't Roger. I don't have an issue personally with Roger, other than the fact Roger barely speaks to me now, and the people who handle him now are the former people who handled Buddy Carter. If you see the white guy who hangs out with Roger Moss right now, that guy used to be the right hand of Buddy Carter. And I'm talking about for 4 or 5 years, right hand of Buddy Carter. And see, I tried to help him out at one of the debates because I'm all about making sure we get the greatest at the debates. But he didn't want any help, and now he won't even look at me because he thought I didn't see him at JEA. But I saw him at JEA, and he had some kind of event going on at JEA because I picked my child up from JEA, and he may not see me picking up my child at JEA. But Roger, guess what? Guess what, Roger? Me and you, we cool as people, friends, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to politics, brother, I can't give you my condolences because you know what? You had an opportunity to be able to be upfront and talk to me, brother. You did an entertainment event for the Democratic Party about 4 years, 3, 4 years ago. So I ain't got no quorum with you as far as the entertainment piece because I think you're a great entertainer. But I don't see you as being my school board leader, my brother. And so I cannot support you at all. And my thing, this is a nonpartisan race. It's not a Democrat Republican race. And so because it's not a Democrat Republican race, I can have this conversation right here. I can have this conversation fluid right here on this conversation period. Now, to my other two candidates. Some people think that I got some kind of issue against Ty Whiteley. I don't have any issue against Ty Whiteley. I think Ty Whiteley is a phenomenal businesswoman in this community. I think she handles her business well in this community. I will say her husband, who was my good friend at one point in time, and he forgets these conversations right here. But the truth right here, the conversation that I want to put out there and express is during his tenure, his first year, he stated that he wanted to kind of separate himself from Jay Jones when he got elected in his office because he wanted to build a relationship with Chester. No quorum here, no conversation, no foul. Now, somewhere down the line, there's a mix up in the conversation. He came to me and said his wife was running for school board. I told him, I said, I appreciate you telling me about your wife running for school board, but at the same token, I think that Todd Rhodes is running for school board too. That was the conversation I had, and he said, I heard that too. And the conversation even got to a point where a mutual friend, just to test to see how much the language will fly by, I told a mutual friend of ours, I said, well, I'm just getting Todd Rhodes in the race because I want to get his feet wet. He needs to test the politics. He needs to test the rim of politics. And everything I'm saying on this chat right now, I done said to Todd. So I ain't hiding no secrets. But I have been instrumental in making sure Todd does everything there is to win this election. Now, I've stayed neutral out of the whole conversation, other than giving advice to those people who call me. Todd calls me. Ty doesn't. I'm going to say it again. Todd calls me. Ty doesn't. Either one of them, in my opinion, would be better than having Roger Moss as far as the chair is concerned. But I'm only going to talk to those people who want to talk to me. Now, if you want to build opinion against me or form a conversation against me, that's cool too. And there's other factors out there that I'm not even going to discuss because it's my business to keep between me and the business that I'm talking about. That also affects my conversation when it comes to that. But what I think is she will make a great president and Ty Rhodes will make a great president. But what I don't like is when people lie on Jay Jones and say Jay Jones did this or Jay Jones did that. I have known Todd's family longer than I've known most candidate families out there. I have known Todd's family for a long, long time. This is before I was in any elected position or had any local position within the confines of this community. But I play above water politics because I believe in the process of being fair. So, with that being said, I've encouraged everybody to make sure they cast their vote for either Todd or tie. Now, if we get into a runoff, then y'all understand my conversation will change and we'll have a better conversation about that. But I will restate that again. Todd communicates with me. Todd says, Jay, can you do this for me? Or Jay, what's your advice on this for me? And that leverage is available to Miss Whiteley for the same reason because I know she's a Democrat. I know her husband and her are Democrats. I may not agree with everything they do, but I know they're Democrats. And they know they got heart for the people. I know they're tied to good people. But I only help those people who choose to want help from me. And if people want to get out there and do things on their own, I support you from afar. And so, therefore, I have spoken my conversation when it comes to the school board races. Now, I know somebody's gonna come out there and say, "Well, Jane, well, he needs to be sanctioned, and someone needs to write a letter, and he needs to resign from his position." And I'm giving you the language to tell me what I need to do, and I guarantee you're not gonna get the votes to shut it down or change this conversation or change this narrative. Because guess what? I am speaking as James Jones, former county commissioner. I am speaking as James Jones, concerned citizen. I'm not speaking in any other capacity but those two capacities right there. And by saying that statement right there, I fit in the confines of any law that governs the state of Georgia or any jurisdiction within that cause. So, with that being said, Rebecca, I hope I answered your question. I hope I was thorough in my question when I answered it. And I know I said I was going to call some people out. Guess what I did? I called some situations out. I'll call some people. My phone number, 912 228 2205. They monitor all my phone calls, y'all. I know they monitor my phone calls because I get phone calls that drop. I get phone calls that not. I can't even get 5G service on my cell phone because I know they monitor so well. So if you don't want to talk over the cell phone, to call me, let me know, and we'll find a location. We can actually have a face-to-face candid conversation. I love coffee, and I drink coffee pretty much any place there is. And so, with that being said, that's the only thing I had to really talk about in this conversation. So I hope I got enough clarity. Now, I did put out 2 points out there that I really will be rehashing next week. Next week. Next week is going to be the bomb.com. I think it's the 29th. I mean, the 19th, y'all. It's the last Friday before election, y'all. I hope you share this conversation. Make sure it's prevalent. I hope I get text messages. I hope on all these pages, all these people I talk about, they go ahead and drop. He sold this and he sold that and he did this. I hope y'all do all that because you know what? It ain't gonna. One monkey don't stop no show. I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna be me. The closer I get to the end of this year, I'm gonna be me. And so if and I will say it, this J Jones, not affiliated with anything else but being J Jones. J Jones, because this is not a paid advertisement, so I can speak on it. J Jones is running for state senate district 1. I did skip that piece on the highlight. The guy who I'm running against, Andrew Nugget, great guy. I know he's having some health issues going on. He was redistricted out of our area. Um, I could have approached the Democratic Party of Georgia and had it pushed out there, but no, I'm not going to do that because I don't have any issue with Andrew Nugget. There's a lot of people out there, Andrew, that don't like you, but me personally, I don't have any issue with Andrew Nugget. I think he's a great guy. I think he just means well. I think he's just young. He's virile. He's virile. He wants to see change. He wants to see movement. And that's the one thing I can say about Andrew Nugget. Great guy. We talked about it right after I qualified. I haven't spoken to him since then. But Andrew Nugget name is still on the ballot, y'all. And because the law is convoluted in its own self, he meets all the requirements. And guess what? It doesn't require that you have to live in the state senate district in order to run, especially if nobody challenged it. And we passed that 14-day or 10-day break, whatever, 10, 14-day grace period time. And so his name is on the ballot. And if Andrew wins, I will cheer on Andrew stronger than all y'all. I don't, because I did not really want to run. I'm running because you know what? We not playing politics. Hickman walked in his seat. Ben Watson was going to walk in his seat. And guess what? We were going to be out of luck. SOL. And so I ran for public office like that. Not saying I ain't qualified for it, but I did not want to run. This is one of the times I wish somebody else would have been available to run. I asked everybody but Jesus. but nobody wanted to run. So I could not allow Ben Watson just to walk into a seat. And my thing is, and Andrew Nugget, what would have happened if your name would have been on the ballot by itself against Ben Watson? I'm almost certain they would have challenged you. And the challenge would have been met because we got a Republican democracy going on right now. So, with that being said, that's part of the reason why I stepped forward and I ran for public office. I have not raised a dollar on purpose because my thing is when it's time for me to raise a dollar, that's when I got to deal with FEC and all those other different dimensions. And my thing is, if I raise $5, I'm gonna make that $5 work. I'm gonna work the heck out of that $5 I raise. If I raise $500, I'm gonna work the heck out of that $500. But I guarantee, ain't nobody, ain't nobody, ain't nobody gonna outwork me on these grounds, on these streets. And so that was a shout out to Jay Jones, who was actually running for State Senate District 1. Back to Jimmy J. I'm going to say peace, y'all, because I went over 7 minutes of my time. And I don't want the producer, the great Julius Hall, to take my head off for going over the time. Catch me tomorrow. I will be they starting to book me, y'all. I'm loving it. Tomorrow, I'll be in Tatumville from 7 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and I'm gonna do a cleanup. And immediately following the cleanup, we're gonna do a get out the vote rally, and we're gonna be talking, walking. If you live in Tatumville, Liberty City, any of those areas, come check out your boy. Come check us out. Make sure you share. I'll put a flyer out there, making sure we just had a brand new administration, and I'm fired up with what's going on in Tatumville because you know what? They got young and they got viral and volatile. And my thing is, they're getting ready to shake up the thorn, and we getting ready to do some big positive things in Tatumville. Watch out what's going on in Tatum, y'all. And then on Sunday, I got a speaking engagement to some young pastors. My good friend, Coach Green. That was my other favorite. His wife was my homeroom teacher for 3 years over at Windsor Forest, Miss Green. Shout outs to them. She taught me the little bit of pecking I can do on the typewriter. Shout out to the Green family. They invited me to their church. I did not get the invite yet, so I'm gonna have to call Coach, make sure he knows. And I'm gonna make sure my driver, Orlando Scott, is with me because him and Coach Green are real close friends. And I'm gonna make sure all of us are present. So when I get that invitation, I'm going to share it tomorrow. Shouts out to Johannes Jones. Johannes, we're going to go for 3 goals in 3 different weeks. He's had 2 goals, one each week for the last 2 weeks. He's had a goal. I'm going to be prophetic. And next week is his 4th game, and he's going to have another goal shot. So shouts out. Everything is great. Everything's wonderful. Yes, I had a car accident yesterday. I'm doing fine. The car is not doing fine, but guess what? We're going to press on and move on. And shouts out. Hey, I got this. Derek, appreciate it. Collegian 100, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Collegian 100 was a project I did back in 2008. It's flourished and grown into at least 1,000 African American males, predominantly from Savannah State, Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern Armstrong campus. And don't forget my ladies over there, Georgia Southern campus too. And they probably about a 500-600 strong women coming out of that Collegian 100. And guess what? We are still perpetuating greatness in these communities because you know what? That's what it's all about. Making sure we take care of those who come after us. So when we keep talking, we got to keep walking. But what we got to do biggest and best in everything else is make sure the generation that come after us, we're making sure we set up greatness for their environment so they can be successful. I'm going to leave there because I can talk all day. I can talk all night. Y'all people, it's been good to have y'all back. It's been good to have y'all back, but I got to go, y'all. Peace.